when you're looking at something like this, I think the first thing you need to do is ask yourself some questions. Okay, you need to ask yourself some questions, because this is what I would classify as a non-standard situation. Okay, because normally when a person's getting married, they would be marrying another person who's single, and has not been married before, and also does not have children. So the fact that you're considering this, you need to be very clear internally with yourself and aligned with yourself that this is something you're okay with. Right? And the reason I'm saying you're okay with it, of course there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm saying some people are not okay with it. Also, there are some people who think they are okay with the situation, and then when they get into the situation, then they realize, oh, I'm not actually okay with it. But at that point, it's actually very late. Right? So I think you need to do some deep soul searching with this kind of situation, right? And you need to be asking yourself that, like, do I actually want this? Is this something that I'm okay with? Like, deep down, am I okay with it? And am I willing to be committed to this fully, right? And on one side, there's that whole divorcee element, okay, which comes with its own kind of things around it, whether it's the comparison with the previous wife, or whether it's the, I don't know, if the wife is still around, or those kind of things. But there's a connection to the wife, especially if there's a child involved. So that wife will always be there in terms of the connection, I'm guessing, if she's still alive, because of the child. So am I okay with that? Am I the type of person who would be fine in a situation like that? And then I think there's questions about a child as well. So, okay, yes, I'm willing to marry someone who's been divorced before, but am I willing to take on a child? Because once this relationship goes ahead, I'm in fact taking on this child like this child is mine. Like, the only way that relationship's going to work is if you give that child 100%. Right? And, shaitan finds good holes and good places to poke when it's not your own child and all these kind of things. In some circumstances, people do better because it's not their child, right? I think I'm probably nicer to my nieces and nephews than my own kids and stuff. So that can happen. But at the same time, I think you need to kind of like think about yourself. Am I in that position where I would be able to do that? And would I be committed to the long term? Basically, what I'm saying is that don't marry potential. Go with worst case scenarios in these situations. Yeah. So imagine that you're going to have a marriage where the ex-wife is always on your case or on his case. Imagine that the child does end up living with you. Imagine like worst case scenarios. And then when there's worst case scenarios, then you can handle everything else away from that. Right. So I would say, am I willing to take the worst case scenario of this situation? Right. If you are, then that's fine. That's good. If you are, then what I would do is I would do a lot of due diligence in this. I would like work hard to find out a lot about this whole situation, because this is a very complicated situation. Marriage itself is complicated. To get married to someone who's been divorced is complicated, and then to get married to someone who has a child and is divorced is exponential complication. And so for that reason, I would actually go very deep into it, and I would want to understand, like, I would set the scene, and I'd be very, very like empathetic, and I would say, look, I just want to let you know that I want to be totally committed to this, and that's why I need to like really understand the situation. So I want to speak to you about this. My intention is not to probe or to make you look bad or anything like that. I just want to really understand the situation so I know what I'm getting myself into, right? So I would set the context like that, and then I would go in like very deep into the whole situation. Right? So I would be like, okay, tell me about like how did you get married, what happened, what went wrong, all this stuff. Try to understand the patterns of what actually happened there, right? Try to understand what they've learned and all that kind of stuff. Same with the child. Give them what if scenarios. Okay? What if the child said something wrong, or I told the child off, or this or that? What if your ex-wife was to do this? What if this? What if this? So I would get a whole list of scenarios. And by the way, ChatGPT would be great for this, right? I would get a whole list of scenarios, and I would discuss those things. And I'll be like, okay, so you're saying that, your ex-wife is here. What happens if this happens? What happens if this? And just take it all in. Take it all in and see first of all what he's saying. See the way he's saying it. See how you feel about it. And then after that, you can start to come to conclusions. But even after that, I would take all that information and I would bounce it off someone else. Right? So either your family or a friend or someone, and go, look, this is the discussion I had. This is the kind of stuff that was said. This. What do you think about this situation?